Well, last time we left Christian and Pliable together. They decided to start on this journey together. Obstinate had gone back home. He didn't want to know. And Christian had ran out of the city of destruction. Pliable started to ask, Mr. Bendy started to ask Christian all sorts of questions about the celestial city, about this journey and the end of the journey. What is waiting for us there? What's it going to be like? What are we going to see? Christian starts to explain to Pliable, in heaven, in the celestial city, we're going to be given everlasting life, so we can live forever. There'll be crowns of glory, clothes that shine like the sun. There'll be angels everywhere. There'll be no more crying or sadness, no more death. The king of that city will wipe every tear away from our eyes. Pliable said, that sounds incredible. That sounds amazing. How can we make sure all these things are going to be ours forever? Well, Christian gave him the answer. He said, my book says, if we really want these things, the king will give them to us as a free gift. Well, let's go faster, Pliable said then. I can't wait to get there. That sounds so amazing, so incredible. Let's go. Come on, Christian. Let's go faster. Christian couldn't go as fast as Pliable because of the rucksack on his back was still making him tired, still weighing him down. But Pliable was determined. Let's go quicker. Come on. I can't wait to be there. But they went too quick and they tripped and they fell into this horrible, muddy, swampy bog, the Slough of Despond. They fell in there together and they got covered in sticky, thick, smelly mud. Horrible bog. All their clothes were wet and cold. The mud was in their eyes, everywhere, totally covered. Pliable shouted to Christian, where is this? Where have you got us stuck now? Christian said, I don't know. I don't know where we are. And they struggled and struggled. Christian started to sink deeper than Pliable because his rucksack was heavy. It pulled him down further. He got stuck up to his neck in the mud. Pliable said, this is not what you promised. You told me about angels and clothes shining like the sun and everlasting life and no more difficulty and tears. This isn't what you promised. And he became angry and he struggled himself to get out of the swamp, out of the bog. He was closer to the side and he just about managed to scramble free. And he shouted back to Christian, I should have listened to Obstinate. I'm not going with you anymore. Changed his mind. He left Christian alone, even though Christian said to him to help him. Help me, Pliable, help me get out. Pliable just ran off. He'd had enough. Christian was on his own, up to his neck in the bog, in the swamp, covered in mud, sinking fast. He needed an answer. He couldn't get out himself. He tried, but he just couldn't do it. So he did the only thing he could do. He shouted for help. Help me! Help me! Just at that moment, help came along and reached in to the swamp and pulled Christian out. He was rescued. He was saved. And he was so relieved, so happy. Thank you, help, for helping me out of this bog, this slough of despond. Christian was so relieved. But he started asking help questions. Why hasn't this place been fixed? Why hasn't it been repaired? Why is it left as it is? And help answered, well, the king has sent loads of people to try and block this swamp up, to try and make it like solid ground, to make it safe. But the more stuff we pour in, the more it just becomes more boggy and muddy. You see, all the feelings of sorrow and sin and guilt flow from the whole country down in here, and it's impossible to block up. So many people have fallen in. Christian said, "I am so glad I called for help and that you came and you rescued me." What will the next stage on Christian's journey bring? Will he be happy? Will he be sad? What's the next obstacle? Well, you're going to have to tune in next time to find out. Well, let's go back through this part of the journey. Jesus promises us amazing glory in heaven, life that lasts forever in his city, in the new heavens and new earth, and there's going to be no more darkness. There will be angels. Jesus will be there. The Father will be there. We'll know the power of his Spirit to live forever. Nothing will ever go wrong. And Jesus has promised all that to anyone who believes. It sounds amazing. But that is our final stop. That is our final home, our final resting place. On the way to heaven, there are all sorts of obstacles and dangers. And this muddy bog, this slough of despond that Christian and Pliable fell into, often happens to people who start thinking about heaven, who start thinking about Jesus and all the glories in heaven. Suddenly, what comes up in their hearts is all the wrong things, all the sins they've done. And that's what Christian and Pliable got so stuck in. When they realise how good God is, how holy God is, how amazing he is, we all start to realise how bad we are. And we can get so stuck in all the lies we've told, all the guilt for all the wrong things we've done, that we can't see a way out. And we start to come under God's conviction. His Holy Spirit shows us how guilty, how wicked and selfish we can all be. It can feel like there's no way out. And the harder we try and climb out, the more stuck we get. Pliable really represents someone who loves the idea of heaven, who loves the idea of following Jesus. But as soon as they start to feel convicted and dirty about their sin, they don't want any more to do with Jesus. And they just go back to the life they were living. What a challenge for us, isn't it? Are we going to follow Jesus just when things are easy? Or are we going to follow him knowing the truth about ourselves? The world can get so stuck that they just wallow in this bog forever. Some people get so stuck in how bad they feel about themselves, and they can't climb out themselves. They just get stuck in there for their whole lives. So the answer is to call out for help from Jesus. Jesus promises us amazing help if we call on him. He promises us to lift us out of the pit, out of the miry clay, and set our feet on some solid ground, on the rock. Jesus says we can stand on him, to build our lives on him and the help he gives. He can pull us out and wash us clean. So here's some things for you to carry on with and do. If you have a read of Isaiah and 57 and Psalm 51, you look at how the Bible pictures where we can get stuck. Then Jesus tells a parable in Mark chapter 4 about our hearts and looking at the difference between Pliable and Christian. And ask yourself, what sort of heart do you have when God speaks to you? Then read Genesis 4 and Psalm 40. What do we need to do when we get stuck? And what help will Jesus give us when we call on him? And then you can add the slough of despond to your map. Make sure you make it all boggy and muddy and thick and slimy. And then you could, if you wanted to, you could zoom in on Christian and Pliable stuck and starting to drown. and you could draw a picture of them struggling and the help that Jesus sent. And then as a little extra, maybe you could start to think, who else in the Bible started to sink and had to have help from Jesus? Surprise you, there's so many. Have a look through and then pray that Jesus would give you the help that you need. If you're a bit stuck, how to draw a map, here's one person's idea. So there's a city of destruction there, and there's these different roads leading to different places, and then there's this bog, this slough of despond. So if you're stuck for ideas, you can copy this or do something like this. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.